I just looked at the first question and realized I should probably have put this towards the end, but fuck it, I'll ask it now. Nick, the Spill Canvas has a long list of ex-members. Why do you think this is? Do you smell bad?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I would like to think, I would like to think that we don't have as big a revolving door as others. I do think that there's been, it's been 20 years. Yeah. So there's so many changes. People want to do other things. Our original two members, Dan and Joe, wanted to do the family thing. They had we parted ways with them in I don't know, what was that, maybe 2014 or 15, right when we kind of started to come back, but have since, we're kind of juggling some stuff now, and but Landon and I have been, our bass player, we've been doing it forever, for sure. But yeah, it is a long list, but still going strong, as original as possible. I'd like to think this lineup's been around for a while. We're going through some drummers right now, landing on the right one. So, but yeah, other than that, yeah. I smell fine.
That was the that's going to be the pull quote for the interview. The Spill Campus. I smell fine.
Yeah.
There was do you know the site The Hard Times? They're like musical satire.
Yes, I love it.
There was a great headline, and it was, "I've only just moved to Portland and I've already been kicked out of Glassjaw."
That's such a good headline. That's so good. I have to tell Evan, our guitar player, that when I get off. That is amazing. That's so funny. That's really good. That's awesome.
And mate, you're coming down here with the Juliana Theory.
Yes.
Mate, what are the best and worst things about touring with the Juliana Theory? Feel free to just...
Okay, yeah, full, yeah. No, I mean, we toured with Josh and Brett, the main members, I suppose you could say, in a way, I guess, just guitar player and singer guitar player. And we toured with them in I want to say it was 2017 or maybe 2016 even. Could have been 2018, maybe 2017, 20. Just them acoustic. They're amazing. I grew up listening to Emotion Is Dead. I mean, I grew up listening to them, really. So it's it's very surreal, to meet like one of your archetypal kind of artists that you have grown up listening to and wanting to become an artist in a way because of. And it's very strange. It's very surreal, but we had toured with Brett and Josh. So technically, I guess I don't know if you would call it the core, but I believe they're the kind of main two members that have remained since the beginning. But we toured with them acoustically. They were acoustic. We were full band in like 2017 or 18. And it was a blast. It's very surreal to just be on the road and touring with someone that has made music that has shaped the way, because I grew up listening to them. I grew up listening to Emotion Is Dead and understanding Is a Dream. Can't remember the exact title. The first 3-4 records I grew up listening to it. So to be just sharing the road in the everyday minutia with your one of your archetypal kind of artists is very surreal, but it ultimately we became great fast friends, and it's just going to be such a trip to get to. I think there's a kinship between those that have been doing it as long as, like, for example, myself and the guys and Brett and Josh and all those guys, because we've been doing it for for 20 years, for sure. 20 years. They've been doing it much longer too. And so it's a testament to what you're able to accomplish within whatever vehicle, so it's going to be awesome. I'm stoked.
So now, pardon me, where the Spill Campus started, it's one of those words I've never actually heard out loud. Is it Sioux Falls?
Yeah, so it's Sioux Falls. So it's like Sioux as in named after the Native Americans that were there. And kind of founded that land in the Americas, in the Great Plains. So Sioux is a big tribe that was from there, and so Sioux Falls was born of that. And that's where I haven't lived there. We haven't lived there for maybe going on a little over a decade, maybe a little more, but we still claim it as our home. We're
Yes.
still, so we'll still put it on our merch. Like we're very South Dakota at heart for sure, even though some of the guys in the band now are not from those areas by all means. But yeah, it's just it's a Midwest kind of pride thing in that way because there's not much happening there,
Uh,
other than getting out of there or so there's really that, so there's music and granted I have a lot of friends there that have made incredible lives for themselves, and it just wasn't for us, and so music was always the thing to get us out, but we were stationed there for the first 10 years of the band, maybe longer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where I was going with that is I wondered, so what can you tell me about the music scene in Sioux Falls that, when you guys were first starting?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the music scene in Sioux Falls was actually pretty thriving. I mean, as far as it could be within the confines of what that city is, like when I was growing up, we would have tours. I mean, all ages shows in VFW halls and Knights of Columbus halls, like, banquet halls and this and that and basements. But I mean, I saw at the drive-in come through twice, when I was 13, 14 years old,
Hmm.
and obviously to go on to become Mars Volta, like amazing. But like I saw the Get Up Kids there. I saw so many big pivotal bands come through, and it was maybe just a stop, that we just so happened to get lucky, and they were moving from, Denver to Minneapolis or something,
Mm.
and so we're this little weird stop. But it was thriving in that moment when I grew up. Today, I would like to think that although I'm not there, I know there's plenty of local music still that goes on there. I think it is. I think the city specifically of Sioux Falls has taken a bit of a turn towards promoting the arts. They have like
Hmm.
a brand new kind of mini arena that they built there for events and touring artists come through. They have an outdoor band shell amphitheater, brand new money that's like being sunk into it. So they very much promote the arts, which is really cool to have that be your hometown for sure.
Yeah. I had a similar relationship with my home state of Tasmania, which is this tiny little island
Oh
below
yeah.
the main of Australia, and nobody toured there. Like if mainland, sorry, bands from overseas would come down and essentially do, the major capital cities, they would
Yeah.
always miss us. So I know what it's like to have grown up
Yeah.
in a place where you didn't have a lot, so you had to make do with what with what you were offered.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And that's like it's that's so cool. Yeah, it's very much like we were excited to have anyone,
Mm.
that was within any kind of zone that maybe we were into as we grew up, and it's a trip to be able to it's amazing. I'm so stoked to get to tour period, let alone the world.
Yeah,
So
right.
very 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 excited on that. Yeah.
So, what are your, as the man who's spent a while on the road, what are your touring survival tips?
Survival what?
Survival tips. Like, what
Oh yeah,
advice
yeah,
would you give
sure.
to bands about to set
Yeah.
off on a big tour?
Oh man, I mean, being on the road for so long, I mean, you develop your own kind of idiosyncrasies regarding, like, I definitely have a specific way I like to do things for sure, but it's like those like big, for a while there, I was touring with a pillow from home,
Mhm.
but then that pillow gets all ratty. It's in the van or the bus or whatever, and then you're taking it in and out of all these hotels or people's houses, even in the early days, and it's getting all kind of ratty and gross, and or you just end up losing it or leaving it behind and forgetting it. So that was, you learn like it's just maybe best to not tour with that, but like tour with as many charging cables as possible. Like specifically within the advent of all of the mobile devices now, because when I first started touring, it was like a luxury to have a GPS like unit, and we
Yeah.
would it would like sometimes we'd rent one, sometimes it'd be like, so we'd all pitch in and pay $500 for a big bulky thing you'd kind of mount on your dashboard somewhere. But and there was a lot of Atlas, looking at a big
Yeah.
Atlas, a lot of Rand McNally stuff happening. So today, I think the tips are just to honestly, there's a lot of everyone has bad days out here. And so we're not always going to vibe as a unit. It's just
Mm.
not possible. It's not like reasonable to assume that's the case. So just communication and staying in touch with one another. Like it's kind of that was not the way it was when we were younger, for sure. That is a older, I've gone through some therapy kind of like adult thing to think and say. But that's really like the key is like just communicating like with one another about how we're doing if we're not into a certain thing, and just clear, concise communication is just like clutch, as in to give it for longevity's sake. But yeah, just a lot of charging cables, a lot of don't burn yourself out, and sleep. Get good as best you can. Get good sleep because
So,
it's yeah.
Nick, you told me lies before. You're trying to tell me that all the ex-members, you just lost them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I misplaced them, or they actually were succumbed to the ups and downs of road life, for sure. Yeah.
Remembered my charging cable, forgot my drummer. Damn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, so apologies, mate. I am learning backwards from you, Beth. So I wasn't aware of you guys when you first came up. So you were part of the emo scene, weren't you?
Yes, I mean, for sure. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Now I haven't seen any photos of you from the early days of the band. Were you proper
No.
emo?
I was pretty proper emo. I did have, it was a strange thing. Even we had signed to Warner Brothers in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
For our record that came out in 2007, and it was it was a very big deal, and we were kind of graduating in a way, and into the kind of the major on to the big table, and had a seat at the big table. And I remember we were doing our first music video, big budget, all this stuff, and I had a neck beard, I did the mustache like portion just didn't grow in, and it wasn't like a beard, but it was just like a little facial hair. And they told me to keep it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep this chin strap neck beard. But I did have the swooped hair, kind of down, and like where you're always kind of flinging it out of your face kind of deal. I mean, I for sure like, was in that area because it was just like what it was back then. Today, looking back, obviously, it's like, what was happening? What were we doing? Why were we doing that? But
if emo was going to be looked at as the way we look at hair metal bands from the 80s, just
absolutely.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, a lot of I didn't go as far as like the flared girl jeans and stuff, but I mean that was a thing. We were close. We might as well have been. We were very close. So yeah, the fads are crazy, but to be able to have to be able to do it now today is just, and look back on that is like, we feel so fortunate. It's amazing. It's super fun. Yeah.
So it's funny because I've interviewed a couple of emo bands. So I was emo adjacent. I was a new metal kid, so it just missed me. I was 18 in 2003. So all of a sudden, jeans went from JNCO, baggier to the better, and then they started going
super tight. Yeah. As skinny as possible
I think there was a denim shortage.
Yeah. There had to have been so many Jenkos, like so many. Yeah. That's amazing.
So what do you miss about that? Like thinking back on the 2000s, like what do you miss and what do you definitely not miss?
I mean, I definitely miss, there was this, looking back on like specifically the 2000s, early 2000s to up to the what do they call, I guess the teens or something. I think that I really miss there was like an innocence, or maybe like a, not even innocence, but with the advent of social media, and like I with MySpace and YouTube and these things like kind of really starting to bubble up, and then shortly after Instagram, obviously Facebook was there. There was just still a different, things were definitely very much different within our world and society, but very much different specifically within our industry of music and making music and being in a band was just, it was wildly different, and was, I do miss a touch of that kind of innocence. And then when you inject now today, I mean, social media is just literally everything. It
Yeah.
means everything. It is every tool. It is every, which is really good. Our music has been able to reach fans that we normally just never would be able to. Whereas, like, it also has like a lot of downside to it as well. And I guess I just kind of, I do find myself maybe in my older age, like kind of longing for those, like, maybe we didn't know as much. It just felt more innocent inherently in that way. And it was just more about like getting the name out there, and hopefully we'll have listened to the record for sure online somewhere, or maybe even, downloaded it illegally. Whereas now streaming is just like, you're not really, streaming is just a whole other can of worms, which is great. It's great, but it also is like, it's tough for it to not feel like very, I don't know, just wrong to the artist in the way with when you get all that stuff into it. But a different topic entirely. But I definitely miss just the innocence. And, I would like to think I have even more drive today, but I do miss the drive I had back then for sure. It was just different. Life hadn't, done whatever, to me at that time.
You don't miss not having drive. You miss not having energy of your early 20s.
That's really what it is. It's just fully a physical thing. I think I miss the bounce back of being in my 20s for sure. I definitely miss that. But I know there are way more. There's a lot of pros and cons, trade-ons, trade-offs, and I think I also love just the having been through those things and the experience of life. It's just something that you're proud of to have lived and done. And I'm very thankful and grateful for those things today. That doesn't mean my body is thankful or grateful for those things, but nonetheless.
Hey, man. Yeah. Mate, this has been rad. Thanks very much for your time today, dude.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Tom.
Easy, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries, mate. Have a great time in Australia.
Thanks so much, Tom. I appreciate it. Thank you.